Alright, we got what was promised to be a private purgatory-esque replay. We've got a private versus a lieutenant colonel, which in and of itself, smells like, hey, look at me, I beat the high-ranked player as a private. But I got told that's not what happened, so let's see how it goes. It's apparently Soviet moto against what looks like US or NORAD. And a rather long game. So, Plunging Valley, before the introduction of Highway, I would have said it's the best 1 versus 1 map. Now I would say it's the second best. There's quite a few people who actually disagree with me, but that's perfectly fine. Let's see what we got here. So, CV BTR 70k, FOB. Don't place your FOB right next to your CV, ideally. Because, if you place your artillery here to fire and your opponent MLRSs it or something, you could get very unlucky and get this killed, right? Plus, if they sneak around to kill your artillery, that is probably near the FOB, they might also accidentally find your CV, which is bad, right? Just a small little nitpick. I'm gonna try to give a bit of advice to the red player as well, because they said they're hard stuck in red. So, yeah. Also, by the way, Soviet moto, by no means an unplayable deck or horrible. You're making it difficult on yourself, which is fine. If you have fun with this deck, that's, I think, what would matter more than trying to win at all costs, which I think is exactly what you're doing. And that's good. Helicopter drop on the left. Bunch of stuff in mid. CPTUs, PDR 90. Yeah, that's pretty much what you're gonna expect from Soviet moto. Usually you want like the good moto decks have some pretty strong recon vehicles, and ideally also like a good tank or two in a tank tab. You don't usually need more. Soviets don't really have either. Now the BRDM3 isn't horrible, and you get the K52 and the Mi-24K, but you don't really have like your Verkenning AMX-13s, your Bradleys, M84ANs, Pion PSVs, etc., right? And that's probably the biggest downfall. The other one is your shock infantry, which is usually very crucial for moto decks, only comes in helicopters. In the past, you didn't even get any VDV at all until airborne squads were made available for moto. But that's something I haven't seen in ages. By no means a bad unit. I personally prefer the 30-point Osa because it has 7 HE and a lot more range, though much lower accuracy. But these little things are actually by no means bad. You just always gotta resupply them pretty frequently. But 30 points and perfect stabilizer, fire and forget missiles. Sure, they're not the most accurate, but they're by no means bad. It's often just also a matter of fitting something like this in, right? The relatively niche role, and the support tab tends to be a bit crowded. Okay, so this is evidently meant just to defend. And the main action seems to happen here. CPTUs. Okay, one Strel dies to the rifleman. Okay, they're just meant to draw fire and maybe get something done. Ooh, that's a very risky K52, you want to be careful. So, here's one thing with the Superior. For one, mortar would have been nice, but at the same time, it's always also don't have the greatest mortars, so whatever. Two, definitely open with an MTV on this side, right? You have cheap MTVs because you run them with Factoria, evidently, which is nice. That's a very good combination. Get another one for the right side. Or take one of these and get it for the right side and get like an 80 gem squad in the ground transport or something like that, right? Admittedly, it would have died to the dab, but in general, as advice, I would have, if you're pushing here, actually open with more helos there than on the left side. Because the Crotal, for example, can very easily get line of sight here, whereas it can be rather difficult to get line of sight from back here onto this, especially if you're preemptively hovering low down here on the ground, then they can't get line of sight at all. Plus, you want to push here anyway. That's what I would have done. The other thing is, you saw or knew pretty much that the only real defense here against vehicles were the light riflemen. You unloaded these a bit too early. If you're paying attention and you can spare the micro, which maybe you couldn't, and that's fine enough, right? I would have suggested trying to get in as deep as possible and only unload once you see the missiles coming out. I think you could have been in a town already with these, and now they're panicked, which is of course bad. I'll also try to stop as little as I can. but sometimes I feel like it's a bit necessary. That's also very... That's one of those things where it's hard to do with Soviet Moto, right? This is not a really good squad to actually defend. Obviously, it's mainly here for optics, but ideally, you also want a squad that can actually defend the town if anything comes driving towards it, right? A single rifleman squad with the M113 behind will easily deal with this. Motostrike 90 themselves aren't particularly great. Especially, like we see this here, right? Low range, low accuracy, AT weapon, can't do anything against the M1A1. The 5-pointers there. BD90s are driving up, but unfortunately, you're not paying particular attention to this. But I mean, you are a private after all. So, not meant as an insult, but you can't expect perfect micro from anyone in the first place. But for new or less experienced, or just people who just don't play as much as I do, which is over 5,000 hours. Jesus Christ. Either way, back to the action. Good micro on the PKMs. And in general, honestly, you should have already done that beforehand, just as a tip. If you have 2 of these squads defending, and there's riflemen with 5-pointers, or any infantry with like 50 cals or something behind, turn off your MG. The 5-pointers are doing the heavy lifting when it comes to infantry DPS. All you're doing is actually revealing yourself and allowing those to attack from a safe distance. You could have and should have waited until those vehicles drove in. Spencer Screw, 4 shots to do with the M1A1. 20 RPM, 20 AP. That thing only has 17 armor. Maybe even they connected 1 shot. I'm not sure if actually 4 3 AP shots are enough. No, it's actually just enough. Sorry, 3 AP. I mean 3 AP different, right? 20 AP. Spencer Screw, hero of the freaking day. BTR 90s, while they just got murdered pretty quickly, also have immense damage output, right? So they dealt with all the small stuff, all the 5-pointers, and Screw ended up killing the M1A1. Really the key unit in Soviet Moto. Without these, deck would be infinitely worse, and it's already not the greatest deck out there, right? A bunch of CPDUs for flank defense, you'd like to see that. Opponent incredibly safe with their opening, by the way. Chaparral, Hawkpip 3, and the Dab all in the opener. It's like 215 points worth of AA. And the pivots here as well, it's 255. In the long run, what is the strength of Soviet Moto in a position like this? Probably the plane tap, I'd say. Especially if you run something like a Su-25T. That is gonna be your main killer. Either that, or you're just gonna do a lot of flank action, which I suppose, or I think, I should say, is gonna happen if I remember the description correctly. K-52 is still alive. Gotta be aware though, this thing has the same range as a K-52, right? It can one-shot you and does have better base accuracy, although the Hawk... No, they're both medium actually. Neither of them gets an accuracy bonus, though based on size it is. So this is high veterancy. But Ural, again, I would not recommend using your Ural truck on your Spetsnaz crew. Unless those are up-vetted Razvedka, which I guess technically is a possibility. 1 free veterancy from Moto. No, those are actually Razvedka, never mind. Crew would be on elite by default. No, all good, I take everything back. The Ural is incredibly easy to kill, obviously. Has horrible off-road speed, so it's slow to get anywhere. So you don't want to use your expensive squads on there, unless you have no other ground transport available, of course. Which you did, never mind. 100 pump is here. And that's honestly the nice thing with the quote-unquote new BTR 60 PB, and by that I mean it being 10 points since until the DLC. It's very nice way to deal with stuff like that, right? Or any 5-pointer. It still dies very easily and only has 1 armor, but it's still very nice. Now another Hawk Pip 3 being bought, which is interesting, because I think ever since the opener, sure you've seen the additional M8 MTV, but as a response to MTVs, I would not buy more Hawk Pip 3s. I'd get Chaparrals, honestly. They're a bit cheaper, they have a lot more ammo, obviously a little bit less range, accuracy, and HE, but you don't have to worry about the K-52 or a seat plane ever, right? So that's an interesting buy, but maybe he's scared of a Su-25T or something like that. And 27M, not really a threat here. By the way, Blue, other than that decision, which I disagree with, I wonder if they realized already which deck they're playing against. They didn't buy another like heavy tank. They just went to an M1IP instead. No M1A1, no HA, no A2, nothing like that. That's a very good response. Mono IP does, however, through Factorio, I believe. Or the Gru got a shot off. I was missing that. Get a fire computer reset. Really lucky. Given the damage that it took, either 2 shots of you or 1 shot of you. There is a 25T on elite. Okay. Unless this was already revealed briefly and I actually missed that, which is a possibility. Hawkpip 3's one of the best units you could get against them. Good range, 9 HE, that's what you want, right? Assuming you hit the plane at the 2 armor parts, which is front or rear, and in case you don't know, yes, you technically can side shot planes. Now, 95% of the planes, or technically more, I presume, have the same armor all around, which is 0. However, the few planes that have 2 armor, and the even fewer planes that also have 2 armor at the rear, which is 25T, A10, a Thunderbolt, and the IL-102, essentially get 60% reduced damage, right? So you practically, assuming you don't sideshot them, need to deal 25 HE worth of damage, right? Because it's essentially just a flat modifier of damage. Doesn't matter if it's 9 HE, 5 HE, or whatever. It all just gets reduced down to 40% of the actual damage. You practically need to deal 25 HE worth of damage to those planes if you hit the 2 armor parts exclusively, which is happens more frequently than one might think, right? Which means that you want as much as HE as possible. Now against normal planes, you might think, oh, 9 HE, 8, 7, 6, 5, doesn't matter, I need 2 hits either way. But for one, if you have spags, it still makes a difference, right? Because they might just deal a bit of damage here and there. Or if you get crit, it helps that you have 7, 8, 9 instead of 6 or 5 HE. But especially against the 2 armor parts of these planes, that 9 HE matters quite a bit. Hated that Humvee got spotted. That's always something you have to be aware of when you put your CV here, right? It's very easy to spot the incoming CV, which is why it helps to get an infantry CV in, because you can usually move that relatively safely between blocks without your opponent spotting where exactly you are. Or you can preemptively smoke, I suppose. You're gonna alert your opponent that you have a CV in there anyway as soon as you capture, or uncap it if your opponent already has one in there. MTV coming in. Do we actually have any kind of A other than the K-52? I don't think we do. Now that said, we also haven't seen any real aerial threat from the US player. Now we see some action here. Saperi. Something that every now and then just happens, and I don't really have a good tip for it, because honestly you don't really want to turn off your primary weapon when you do that. But there's a few instances, right, and this is one of them, where if you move forward with your flamethrower squad, they're actually attacking without a flamethrower because something is in range of the primary but not of their flamethrower. It's a bit annoying. Oh, those Gru are gonna just die. A sad, sad death. At least they hit the last time with the RPG. I do love that the Billy turned off everything but the RPG, because at the end of the day, that's really the main value you're gonna get out of this. M1IP. Same armor as the M1A1, by the way, and pretty much the same HE output as well. Merge coming in, okay. Some good shots. This M1IP dealt with the Gru. The Hawk did go down. Sorry, not the Hawk, the Chaparral. The Chaparral, it presumably has 0 top armor, which makes it exceedingly susceptible to Smurge. Oh boy, there's only 4 or 5 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 shots. Basically just one has to hit. 0 armor. Oh, there you go. Perfect. That was quite a dispersion, by the way. Got really lucky with that. 1 CV down. We gotta count the CVs. Okay, this is interesting. We've only seen Humvees thus far. I wonder if that blue player is greedy and only has a card of Humvees as their CV. Now maybe they're running, I think it's more likely that they're running Humvee and Tank CV as a 2 CV setup. And you know, Tank CVs are a bit more expensive and they probably just assume this is actually safe. But there's a chance they're only running Tank CVs. Now if they have an Infantry CV, that's gonna be incredibly valuable against the Smurge, because assuming it's not in a transport, as the Conqueror's M kills the M1IP presumably, as long as it's not in the transport, you can't kill it with the Smurge. So Spencer's crew, by the way, is still alive. Holy, I did not expect that. We see a supply truck coming in, which is good. Pretty light defense. Now, fortunately for him, he's playing against US, which, unless they're on Delta Force, which isn't all too common, not the best type of infantry that they can sneak around with, right? Rangers are solid, but still relatively easy to deal with, at least when it comes to compared to special forces. Veteran Paladin. Oh, by the way, those Hawks, I think, still have fired once. Oh, that said, the 25T, I'm pretty sure also hasn't done anything. Although I guess they baited an ASF and maybe the second Hawk again. I don't know when the first time the 25T was being shown. Paladin firing. Oh, on here. Well, that got spotted as well by those Rangers. Yeah, pretty. Not the spot I would use for an infantry CV unless you pretty much control all of this. Like almost full control of a foxhole, at which point you probably want to put it somewhere else still. Better for vehicles because it's relatively easy to park it like here and block line of sight pretty much anywhere. Like for tank, not maybe an IFV. But really you want to go in here because then you can teleport to different towns and much easier avoid bombers. Whereas here, especially if vehicles start rolling around, there's nothing you can escape to. You're just surrounded by an open field, right? So not the position building I'd recommend for CVs. Especially because some form of recon being here is so common that it's so easy to also just spot this happening. This Humvee CV is very neat in here, but as soon as it's spotted, the Smirch is gonna kill it. Now the Smirch might actually be going for a Paladin counter battery, though we have seen the Paladin move, I'm pretty sure. It was earlier in this position, so I wonder if there's some... No, okay. At least nothing was queued up when it comes to moving. More M1 IPs. This is the one that got down to 2 damage. Sometimes there's a weird little bug that still shows the panicked icon, which is actually quite annoying. I'm still not sure what exactly causes it. But it is what it is. As we speed through the nothingness. Paladin has been moved. Okay, interesting. We've seen a Harrier. Well, first of all, 2 Block 52s. And an AV-8C Harrier. I like it. I like it. US tends to not have the best like helo hunters in their deck. Now, usually they don't need it, right? They have an excellent anti-air helicopter. Hawkwave 3, if you run it, is very good. Chaparral, if you run it, is very good. And me personally, I also like to run manpads, right? So, helo hunters aren't quite necessary. Plus, your ASFs also have short-range missiles. And yeah, that said, you know, if you want a helo hunter, something like a rocket bot multi-role is often like very nice because helo hunters, they don't need much. They need a gun ideally, short-range missiles, and it's often preferred if there's 750 kmh. Now that MTV did somehow survive, which is incredibly lucky. PD, is it gonna bullshit its way through this engagement? But that missile is gonna miss. But that's one of the most bullshit planes in the game. Soviets just love their bullshit planes. Yep, there you go. That's a hit and a stun. Not a kill, fortunately for Tincho, whatever. But that plane is such a piece of BS. It used to be like 90 points and elite. As a Smirch was coming in here and sniping this Humvee, by the way. Crazy. Second CV down. That thing just was a one-shot machine. Okay, second CV down. Still no new CV for Hoxtrot, and Billy is ticking. And honestly, I don't think Billy has lost a ton of units thus far, right? Opener, of course, didn't go well, and the B-tier 90s aren't very cheap. When did that Hind come here? He's just honestly gotta respect it. I'd hate going up against it. I'm not gonna lie. I'd hate going up against this, but it just fuck you. I'm gonna sit here with a bunch of helicopters, so screw you if you try to push up and just snipe your CVs. It sucks, but that is also the reason why you need, for one, if you can, a variety of CVs. Especially if you go up against clusters, it's incredibly useful to have infantry CVs, as I've mentioned. Or if you go up against a bunch of tube artillery, tank CVs, right? But if it's true that Tincho, whatever, only runs Humvee CVs, That's bad. As the Hawk Pip tried to go for the hit here, didn't hit. But Hawk Pip is moving. Smurge. Okay, you gotta be careful. Okay, now, honestly, while I was criticizing quite a bit of like the macro in the early stages and with the CV here, there's a lot of things that, you know, I'd say untypical for private they know about, right? Or I realize. The weapon turn-off I saw multiple times, very good. The smudge, like firing up the smudge, immediately realizing, oh shit, it's not even halfway done reloading and stopping it, right? Even like decently ranked players, I often see just giving their artillery or smudge attackant whatever a fire command, not realizing that they're still reloading and just leaving it be just for it to fire 2 minutes later. In fact, that has happened and sometimes does happen to me. That's very nice to see. Now, that being said, this defense was incredibly light and really reliant on those helicopters, right? So M1IPs and Razzmann spam, difficult. Now the 25T is just circling, trying to get a missile off here and there while being just outside of the Hawk range. Which I like to see. Smurge is lining up. I wonder what it's going for. Still the Hawk? Paladin or this Humvee? Also, but this was a predicted position, by the way. The Humvee was like here when it was pinged there. Very, very good. Or very, very exact position. Though, you know, it's honestly somewhat predictable because you don't want it right there. You don't want it too far forward, right? A bit lucky in a sense, I suppose. At least with the ping. Actually cancelled again. Probably because it was still not done. But again, infantry here was very, very weak. 5 HP reset, got 2 HP. What? The Gru here got repaired or refilled at least, but there's still only 2 HP or 2 HP again. Humvee coming here as well. What do we have left in terms of helicopters though? Right, a lot of them died. Okay, 52 is still here. The Ozas were spotted. That's something that he didn't notice, right? They were spotted here or are spotted here for quite a while already. And they're easy pickings. Very easy pickings for another veteran paladin. One of them might cut out. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 shots. Okay. I like it. I like the splitting. Though sometimes in hindsight you wish you didn't split. Wow, immediately gets it with the first one as well. Maybe those were actually 7 shots. Where's the second salvo going? That's the third CV down, by the way. Now, if there truly are only Humvee CVs in blue players decks, in the blue players deck, they have 1 CV left to buy. Because you get 6 space and 7 in US. And I've not seen a single Canadian unit thus far that makes me think, oh, that makes me think, but that would say, actually, this is NORAD. 25T not doing much. At the same time, right? Blue player doing a straight up bad job at attacking. But, you know, I wonder, and that has happened to me before, if it's because they're up against a private. Sometimes you get this, or I get this, or have gotten this, right? Because I've not played against a private or something like that in a long while. I've gotten this feeling that's like, oh my god, they're just a private, whatever. I'm just gonna stomp through this and get it over with. Then it's like a 40-minute game that I barely win. Because me thinking it's so easy actually makes it more difficult because I make horrible decisions. I wonder if that's the same thing going on here. But I also just have just straight up terrible decisions, right? Humvees in, I mean, I guess at the same time, I was gonna say in obvious positions, right? They tried here, they tried there. It's just very easy to spawn. But that's just maybe a deck mistake. Oh, there's a Nighthawk. PDs are circling and they have, I actually forgot. Do they have exceptional plus air detection? MiG-31s and F-14s actually get even better than exceptional air detection. I forgot if 25 PDs do that as well. Let me actually explain what I mean with that in case you don't, right? For one, air detection goes from, on planes, actually even anti-air pieces, right? Good, very good, exceptional. There's actually no bad or medium air detection on unit stat cards. Non-anti-air units have those, but they're just not displayed, right? Because it's not a hugely important stat. But, for example, the Rafale has an air detection value of 450. Right, that's basically exceptional. Something like a Nighthawk, which has good air detection, I think that's 150. I think very good is 300. Yeah, that's 150. Right? And something like a basic infantry squad, like a Factoria, has 40, just for reference. Now the Tomcat and the MiG-31s actually have 900. Like they have twice the air detection of like your typical high-end ASF or anything that says exception except for those. Especially against Nighthawks, that's very useful. The reason I'm saying is because I actually forgot if the PDs, if they're special or not. No, they have 450. Okay. Because I wasn't quite sure they might not have shown up under the interceptor tab, because in the categories for planes, right, there's also interceptors, not just air superiority fighters, but interceptors specifically, but MiG-31 variants and the F-14. And here we see, I think the first time a 2050 might, nope, it doesn't. Oh, it got hit. There you go, 4 damage. 4 freaking damage. And technically it's 3.6, right? But you get it. It's so stupid. I hate this plane. Seed coming out. Hawk is turned on. Seed should be spotted by now. One Hawk goes on. Very nicely microed. Just circling right after you got the missile off, right? So not going in too deep. MiG-25 PD. No bullshit moment. Would you look at that? Traded a PD for a Hawk? I mean, points-wise, that's equal. But it's not always about trading points, right? If you trade a 1 per card 90-point unit for a 10 per card 90-point unit, not necessarily worth it. But then again, if it's like in the last minutes of the game and that allows you to snipe a CB or something, then maybe it's worth it. You know, it always depends on the context. Now here we see an Abrams. There you go. That's what you like to see finally. Maybe should have bought one for the right side as well. It's 160 points. 50 points more expensive, right? You get 3 of those. Is the Nighthawk even gonna make it? Jurgen as well. I mean, to be fair, you get really strong artillery options. Oh, he forgot about the Nighthawk, I think. Harrier coming in. Not evac ordered. Oh, I think he realized he was gonna get out of fuel and didn't bother with it. The thing with the Jurgen is it's not too great at killing units unless like individual like lucky 1 armor units or something that you can one-shot. PD gets a hit, but no crit again. Lucky for you. Osa? Nope. Unfortunate. Did it? It looked like it might have moved a bit too early. Is it gonna get killed by the Harrier? Could have line of sight on it. Yep. That's what these rocket planes are really good at. Sniping AA, funnily enough. I don't know. Is it funnily enough? What would rocket planes have been used IRL, I wonder? Like, genuinely, I wonder. Would they all, by the way, fire all of the rockets at the same time? Wouldn't it create a huge amount of, like, thrust in the other direction? I don't know. I'm not an expert. You tell me. 27M coming in. Sniping a Chaparral. Sniping a Hawk. I didn't check whether this was microed. The thing with the Hawk is, even if you micro it against radar AA, right? I.e., you have it turned on, and as soon as a missile comes out, you turn it off while it's moving. The seed missile will then home onto the last position. Oh my god. This is bug again where it zooms in on a newly freshly spawned plane. It will hit, ideally, the ground if you're the AA user. The last position where the missile, the radar system, was turned on. Oh my god, he didn't realize he had snapped this already. Either that or it just got moved at some point. Very lucky. Well, not like, I don't know about lucky, but you know, fortunate. Was there a side shot involved? Again, bullshit piece of plane gets out on 1 HP. Now back to the radar micro. The seed missile will hit, or will try to hit, wherever it was last turned on, the AA missile. Now the thing with the Hawk is it's so slow and then gets an additional speed penalty in the forest. It's pretty much impossible to do that while you're driving through a forest, because you barely move, that even your last position is so close to where you are now that you shouldn't try to do that. Which is why I wondered if they were trying to. Now Billy, almost 200 points ahead, and the Command Abrams is still not there. Now nothing here has been killed actually by the Nighthawk or the Paladin. Nighthawk useless run here. And you know, Billy is somehow holding on. Like practically, Billy has no real frontline. And just survives by sniping AA. And frankly, I've been in Blue's position, again, like this before as well, because it's so annoying. You keep losing your AA, get bullied by helicopters, and don't really realize how fragile the front line actually is for the opponent's player, right? That said, it's not like blue has much here themselves, or it's a good amount of stuff here, but not a single anti-air piece, by the way. In fact, not a single anti-air piece anywhere except for this pivots right now. New Chaparral, new Humvee. This VDV squad hasn't done anything yet, doesn't spot the pivots either. Yeah, it's a... If you want to sneak here, either you have to go through here and there's always something waiting for you, or just go around this way. It's usually awkward to try to cross this because of the open field. But maybe they're also just waiting for like a different moment when there's a helicopter also driving there, getting there, and like ground vehicle driving in, who knows. Naito coming in. But the thing with the front line is also like, again, Soviet Moto just doesn't have the greatest actual infantry outside of like GRU and your weapons teams that are good, right? VDV-90 and VDV base are fine. Well, the VDV-90s are actually very good. Oh, should have kept going for the Nighthawk. You have only 4 R77s. And gets killed by the Hawk without getting... Ooh, that was one not so great 27M. Other thing is, arguably, or probably should have waited a bit with the 25 BM. Try to bait the Hawk turning on for the 27M before they realize there's also a seed plane. But it's also a bit difficult to do when there's also an ASF up that has better air detection than a Hawk, and probably also spotted the seed plane earlier. Harrier, is this spotted? I don't think it is, right? Trying to dive to 24 VP. Misses both A9s. And the Akula kills him with a crit followed by... Wow. Although, oh no, the crit isn't... Right, the Iklavi does have 4 HE. I think it used to have 5 very, very early on. I don't remember. But, wow. Lucky. Smirch coming in. I don't know if this was spotted. Didn't see a ping. 10 minutes. 10 minutes of +2. That would be 300 points. It would be enough for our blue player. And is coming in the correct position. Is it going to connect though? Not so lucky this time around, I'm afraid. This is going for the Abrams, which has more top armor to begin with. But again, you gotta get a bit lucky to actually kill it, especially if you don't have all them rockets left. Yeah, there you go. And this is now going for this again. I mean, maybe he did actually see this coming in and didn't ping it or something. Block 52 is still circling. Oh, this should be, yep, this should do it. That's the 4th? 1, 2, 3. I think fourth Humvee vehicle, because this one tried to get sniped, but I think got out alive. It's 4 Humvees down. Yeah, no Humvees left. You now. Oh, but with no AA on the ground, it's not a good trade. Ideally, if you're behind in the ASF department, you wanna bait the planes, right? With your they're like, oh no, I have only 1 ASF. Please don't hunt me down with your 2 ASFs. What am I gonna do, right? And then have them fly over your AA and be like, ha, gotcha, fucker. But it only works if you have AA on the ground, right? Which you don't. Fob actually still has something left. Jurgen, in the grand scheme of things, evidently hasn't been the greatest buy. I think more Conquerors M's here and some actual infantry earlier would have been good. I'm still surprised how long it took blue player to actually get in here, right? Just get more M1 IPs, get more M113s. And just keep your chaparrals like in the forest. Not at the edge so they don't get sniped by planes. Or just micro them better, right? Move in and out if you need to kill helicopters. And just bait the rocket pods with your 5-pointers. Just unload your riflemen. And send out your M113s one by one into the rocket pods and just waste them. It takes a minute or two, but this whole ordeal took like 30 minutes. Well, 35 or something. But now, oh wow. 50 snipes the dab, which was crucial. VDV with her excellent RPG 29s forces these to unload very early. It's actually going to be very close. 7 minutes of +1 would be enough for a draw, but just a minute or two of a +2 on top of that, like just 1 minute or two of this being a +2 would lead to a blue player win. And I don't longbow now. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's just an exceptional optics helicopter with an autocannon. I don't think the missiles are gonna matter that much. Against a BT-90, assuming there's nothing else to do with it, I suppose it's still good. Because BT-90 will just seriously mess anything up that isn't like an IFV or a tank. Jurgens has reload, got refilled too late. Given that it only has 8 rockets, I presume it might have actually been refilled until this merge was refilled, because that was priority. It's also on a lead, by the way. But the longbow will lose to the VP, by the way. The VP's gun is just miles ahead. Honestly, I'm pretty sure actually just straight up the best helicopter gun. If we include the fact that, you know, it has a turret. I think raw DPS, the M8 TKT is probably stronger. The Dep's autocannon probably as well, you know, the dual autocannons especially. But neither the Dep nor the M8 TKT, the Finnish one, right, have turrets. And that's like a huge benefit of a gun like this, which is just, in practice, it's the best gun. Now this now has been spotted. Honestly, at this point it's too late, but as soon as you realize this got spotted and attacked, move in with the 24 VP and hope to at least get enough damage in that you get the kill, and ideally kill it even before it kills your CV, although that's unlikely. Yeah, now your 24 VP is just not doing anything. Smirch now firing, got the CV. It got the CV in mid. Nullifying the tick. Something like 60-ish points are needed. It would be 4 minutes of +1. Iglas fire at the Prowler instead of the Longbow. Okay, Longbow is just out of range. Oh, one of the Iglas missed. Just needs line of sight for a second. Gets killed. Fortunate for a red player here. Though keep in mind again, the Longbow has an aim time of 1 second these days. It doesn't instantly fire its missiles, right? Yes, fire and forget and all that, but especially any initial salvo, nice Chaparral kill, against any ground vehicle is going to take at least 1 second until the missiles are out because of aim time. Previously, it had 0 seconds aim time. You're again firing now. And you get resupplied by something else now. Those are just 8 shots. Just a bit of target. Oh, maybe no, maybe you get really lucky. Nah. Honestly, would have been quite some luck, I'll be honest. Still 3 Strelas. Drive-by? The drive-by? Oh, got 1 hit in though. I think at this point, Billy's probably just sending in stuff to slow the opponent down, right? There was no reason to go for the seaplane, except for maybe like, oh, maybe it's gonna waste some anti-plane resources on that, right? Some AA missiles, some of the Block 52, and then evacs with the Block 52 or something, right? Now the CPTUs here, I don't think there's anything that's gonna stop them in time. And that is, yeah, that is the right direction. He should, I don't know if he has time. Try to fast move down this road into like here so the infantry can't kill those, because he needs to tick, right? Or doesn't allow, yeah, I guess at this point tick and doesn't, yeah. Billy isn't ticking anymore. Now he is, to actually try to win. Honestly, a bunch of these actually got killed, but never mind, it was Abrams's together with the Harrier just now. Actually killed quite a few of them, not all of them, but with those Razzmann here as well, it's actually enough. Unless, ooh, they're both gonna. No, they were actually staggered. They were not shooting at the same CPT. Oh, just barely. BTR-70 is still alive. Those Rangers too scared to move up because of the VPs. Paladin firing, Cobra being bought. More Cobras being bought. Smirch is empty, Forb is empty. This is an actual clown fiesta. But I don't think Tincho can do this. Nope, you're dead. Oh, you live? You're dead? You're dead. Even the Browning being turned off. Peter 70 is still alive, stunned, got hit by the... Oh wow, did they, finally, one of the hinds goes on. Did the Paladin kill one of the hinds there? I think they did. That's okay, 50 or 52. CV is dead here. No new CVs coming in +2. 2 minutes of +2 is 60 points. I think this is a draw. Unless... I don't think we see a new CV coming in. This CV is getting killed. Oh, this could barely be a win for Pinjo. 25T probably was just repaired. Nighthawk kills the Oza, gets killed by the Strela. Harrier is doing something. CPU kills the helicopter. Was it a longbow that killed? No, just a Cobra. Longbow died already, right? Yeah. BDV moved in here. Killing the pivots. Or not. No, the pivots that is something else. Oh, the pivots moved up here. The 35 seconds. Wait, do you surrender? Wait. Was this a ranked game? Let me check the replay file. No, I don't want to upload a new version of Notepad++. Because the where is it? Lobby name. I think the lobby name. Nation constraint. I think this is a ranked lobby, no? Is that like a rank? No. I think this is a ranked lobby. No way you surrender. This would be a draw, no? Let me double check. A minute of +3 is 45 points, so half of it would be like 20 something points. This would be a draw. This would have been a draw. No, you don't surrender, do you? Oh, come on, man. That would have been a draw. You would have get Elo. Oh, man. Actually, let's actually take a look at this deck. I'm unsure if you could actually improve this because moto just doesn't have that much great stuff to begin with, to be honest with you. I mean, initially I was like, oh, you don't, what is the CV selection? Then I'm like, yeah, you don't really have much better to choose from. You don't even get the BMD1. Planes, I mean, there is a consideration to actually downbid this because it's your only actual anti-ground plane, besides the 27M, I suppose. In fact, there's honestly maybe an argument to replace the 27M with something else as well. Right, you have strong ace Fs, although to be fair, you don't have the strongest anti-air on the ground. And the PD and the PU alone could potentially be a bit light. So maybe this is the right decision to run this as well. Or replace the PD with a Yak 1-for-1, which is a bit stronger, I'd argue. And then replace the 27M, but maybe not. But I think there's an argument to be made to actually down with this. Depending on how actually confident you are with this. I am not very confident with this. But if you're good with a plane like this and can exploit aerial strength, like your aerial superiority, if you have it, together with your helicopters, the second one could actually make sense. Allows you to grind a bit better. When helicopter, yeah, there's an argument to be made to go for the 28 instead. There's a turret on the gun, rocket pods or whatever. But honestly, nah, that wouldn't really have made a difference here anyway. And that's honestly, it's up to personal preference. MR28 versus Aquila. Yeah, vehicle type is fine. I'm surprised to actually not see any Jalos in the opener. They have medium optics. Don't underestimate that fact. It's very, very useful to have. Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't. Like, it's nice to have strong heliborne infantry, and you have these in the MTV, although the MTV is only 250k mage, right? But I honestly recommend running these not in a helicopter and running both of these in a ground transport. They're your strongest actual fighting infantry, and you want these in a ground transport. Run the second one in the BTR 80, a BTR 80. More affordable than a BTR 90. Has 2 front to side armor, has a late KBVT, so don't underestimate this thing on elite, right? This actually hits like a truck. Not quite autocannon level, obviously, but still very strong, especially in closer ranges. Don't underestimate this thing. That is definitely something I would recommend. Other than that, yeah, you don't get the strongest vehicles in here. It's just unfortunate for Soviet Moto. There's also an argument to be made to not run these in a BTR 90 at all, again, because they're so crucial, and in the BTR 80 they're more affordable, but they're still in ground transport, and the BTR 90 is very nice, so. This, yep, I can definitely understand. BTR 90 is very, very good, so having another card is good, and I think besides the Spetsnaz, those are the only squads, yeah, the only squad that gets this. BTR 80A as well, right? Yeah. The rest, yeah, honestly, seems fine by me. This as well, yep. Spam, and you don't care about the RPG. In fact, in some situations, the base one is just better than the 7 VR because of the extra range you have. Again, it's fine, but I think I prefer the OSA, the base OSA. If you run only one, let's call it quote unquote real anti-air, could argue for the AKM, but you have man pads to support the lack of anti-helicopters on this, so that's fine, I suppose. Tanks, again, not the greatest options, and yep, I agree. Yeah, I mean, overall, again, I'm not a Soviet motor expert by any means. The only real change I'd really suggest is actually placing these with them in the ground transport. Having only 4 of those in the ground is really annoying. That's definitely something that I would suggest changing. I don't know if we need a Jurgen on top of the Smirch, but at the same time, what else are you gonna put in here, right? So it's fair enough. Same with the Recon 355, right? It's not great, but like, what else are you gonna put in realistically? And maybe there's some shenanigans putting in the VMF to have a fast Recon squad that you can stick around without sacrificing one of your expensive crews, maybe? I didn't see a single T55 being used. I don't think it's that necessary anyway. And for cheap medium optics, you still have something like this, which is fine. So honestly, maybe there's a reason to take these guys in a BTR 60 BB, or maybe BTR 80 because it has better off-road speed. Helicopter works as well, but then they're very easily spotted, like the transport is spotted, right? Which is why I prefer sniper squads in a ground transport, ideally with good off-road speed and good autonomy. But I mean, USSR Moto is just a pretty weak deck, so what can you realistically do, right? And given what you had available, honestly, not much I can really give in terms of tips. But what I can do the Wargame. So, what are we looking at here? Good stealth, at least it's an infantry squad. Is it 10 HP? 10 HP, 2 weapons. Are there 10 HP infantry squads with only 2 weapons? Or even 1 weapon? Yeah, wait, are there? Yeah, flamers. Okay. They're faster. Oh, they're Turbopi. Is it like a Z in there, I think? Yeah, these guys. They're the only shock flamers. Very strong, but honestly usually not worth it over base ones. Maximum 6 HP. Poor stealth and optics, so it's not infantry. Either a jeep or a helicopter. Given the speed, Then again, size? Not in Mech and Armored, and given the age, I'm gonna say it's a Jeep. Let's go for like a base tow Jeep. M150 is an M113 thing, right? This thing here is a Jeep. It is 5 HP. It's not an ATGM Jeep. It's a rigorous rifle Jeep, then, presumably. Go for Rover Wombat. It's not a rigorous rifle. Oh, it's more expensive, right? It's not even in the. What are you doing, Razzmann? It's the Rover 107. It's in a support tab. It's right. Bad optics for artillery. I'm stupid. It's 5 HP, 30 points. It already had a Sergei mod. Is it a Sergei mod again? It's not a spec. Right, age. Oops, I didn't mean to click on this. We know it's from 7. Okay, it being from 77 doesn't really help me. What about the fast stuff? I don't know if 30 points. It is 30 points. It is actually already. It's actually 88. Damn. Okay. Is it the OSA? That would have been fun. It's not the OSA. Is it? Can't be the Strela 1 because 5 HP. Oh, the OSA has 10 HP, of course. I'm stupid. A Rover? The RBS Rover, I mean? It is. And now for Square Game. Oh boy. More than 10 HP. Is this a Canberra? It is. Price equal 20.15 HP squad. US Marines. 15 HP squad with battle rifles. Fallschirmjäger. 90. Year greater than 91. Let's go for Panzergrenadier 90. 600 to 750 greater than 91. Okay, now this is more difficult because planes and the introduction year more difficult. What about like the Puff? No, the Puff is not a prototype. The Kahu. I think the Kahu is not is a prototype. Oh, I mean maybe it is, but it's not greater than 91. Price equal 20 year post 91. 20 points. Oh, Mochut's 90 maybe? Yeah. That's actually not that many like 90 squads that are 20 points. Because they're usually 15 because they're line, or 25 because they're shock, or more expensive because they're 15 HP or elites. Stodruppen base should have battle rifles. F84? And Stodruppen would have fit here as well, god dang it. Ooh, 20 points. Oh no, that's actually a bit difficult. What is 20 points for the Dutch? Do they get a 20-point supply truck? God dang it. I should have used Stodruppen here. Is the Lynx? Oh, it's 25? Oh, 95 rolls, 25 at 20 points. I forgot. Those are actually the only two units in Dutch have that are 20. That's 20 points. Holy. Huh. Super Attendant. Super Gallup, of course. Of course. Wow, I actually didn't realize those are the only two units that are 20 points for the Dutch. Czechoslovakia Type 3 MMG. That's vehicle. Weapon type 1. HMG or LMG. Does the OT64 count? Like the KPVT? You know what? Let's go safe. Oh no, that's an MMG. God damn it, I'm dumb. Over to Grom or NSVT. Let's go with some kind of T72. Unit is command. Weapon type 3, T80 UK. Weapon type 1, HMG over LMG. Okay, KPVT does count. Oh my, imagine I put an OT64A in here, man. Like I originally wanted to. Weapon type 2, Grom or NSVT. Okay, let's go for T72 again. That's easy. Weapon type 3, MMG, Recon or Support. Recon tank with ATGM. That's the American Sheridan thing. Very good optics. Weapon type 1, ATMG or LMG. We have literally something like KPVT in its name. Weapon 2, Grom or NSVT 84. Honest, I could have gotten 9 out. Oh, they call it differently, don't they? They actually called it. Actually, okay, you know what? I guess I should be happy that I didn't get this right because this would have haunted me for ages. Now I have 2 that haunt me. Thus, they share the haunting. Thus, the haunting is not as big. There you go. Shared haunting is half haunting. Either way, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.